Welcome to the Texas Department of Transportation virtual public hearing for the expansion of Loop 1604 from Farm to Market 78 to I-10 East in Bexar County, Texas. This meeting is hosted by the Texas Department of Transportation. This is a pre-recorded presentation. During the video, you may pause the presentation and navigate forward or backward using your video player. The comment process for the virtual public hearing will be described near the end of this presentation. All the materials for this public hearing are available for viewing and downloading. They can be found on the internet by navigating to www.TxDOT.gov and searching Loop 1604 from FM 78. The video presentation is in English. The presentation and script are available in English and Spanish on the project's webpage. If you experience technical difficulties with the public hearing, please contact Laura Calderon at lcalderon@xa-sa.com or at 210-354-2925. You may also request special accommodation assistance accessing public hearing materials and language interpretation needs other than English and Spanish. The purpose of this virtual public hearing is to inform you about the proposed project and to request your comments. This presentation includes information on the project's need and purpose, a description of the project including the design, right-of-way requirements and schedule, and the environmental impacts that would result from the project. We encourage you to submit comments on the project after reviewing the hearing materials and listening to this presentation. Please note that discussions with the project staff will not be included in the official record of the public hearing. If you wish to submit a comment to be part of the official record of this public hearing, you must do so in the ways outlined at the end of the presentation. The deadline to submit comments to be included in the official hearing summary is October 15th, 2021. The project is located on Loop 1604 between FM 78 and I-10 East in the cities of San Antonio and Converse in northeastern Bexar County. It is located adjacent to Joint Base San Antonio-Randolph. This section of Loop 1604 is a 4-lane divided highway, and TxDOT is proposing to expand it to a 4-lane expressway, a roadway with controlled access, main lanes, and frontage roads on each side. This section of Loop 1604 is a 4-lane divided highway as shown here. There are 2 lanes in each direction that are divided by a grass median. Traffic on Loop 1604 must pass through 6 signalized intersections to travel between FM 78 and I-10 East. These intersections are located at grade, meaning there is no overpass where one road passes over the other. There are no sidewalks, and the right-of-way varies from 280 to 340 feet wide. TxDOT is proposing to expand this section of Loop 1604 to a 4-lane expressway as shown here. It would include 2 main lanes each way, and they would be divided by a grass median. There would typically be 2-lane frontage roads except at the Martinez Dam detention pool where they would transition to 1 lane and at the approaches to major intersections where turn lanes would be included. The frontage roads would include a minimum 5 feet wide outside shoulder for bicycle use and sidewalks. Approximately 51 acres of right-of-way would have to be acquired for this project. That would make the right-of-way 370 feet to 430 feet wide. The right-of-way requirements will be discussed further in this presentation. 4 overpasses would carry the main lanes over the intersections of Rocket Lane, Lower Seguin Road, Graytown Road, and Binns Engelman Road. These will allow vehicles on the main lanes to travel through the project limits unimpeded by traffic signals. Also, the intersection of Loop 1604 at Lower Seguin Road would be realigned at Loop 1604 and at FM 78. This intersection will be described in more detail later in the presentation. Before we go further into details, we will explain why the project is needed and the purpose of the project. The need for improvements to this section of Loop 1604 was identified by the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is the agency responsible for the region's transportation plan. Based on planning level studies, the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization identified this section of Loop 1604 as a corridor that would be congested in the future and selected it for improvement. Since Loop 1604 is a state highway which is operated by the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT developed a project to address the transportation needs. TxDOT developed projections of future traffic volumes along the corridor. We will show you the historical and projected traffic data on an upcoming slide. TxDOT also conducted traffic modeling to determine how well the four-lane divided highway will perform under the future traffic volumes. The analyses showed that Loop 1604 and its current four-lane divided highway layout between FM 78 and I-10 East is not able to accommodate future traffic volumes at acceptable levels of service. This chart shows how traffic has increased on Loop 1604 over time based on actual traffic counts and projected future traffic volumes made by TxDOT's Transportation Planning and Programming Division. In 1990, Loop 1604 was a two-lane road and carried approximately 9,400 vehicles per day. In 2012, we expanded Loop 1604 to the four-lane divided highway we have today. By 2019, the traffic volume had grown to approximately 42,000 vehicles per day. As shown, traffic is projected to increase to 52,000 vehicles per day by 2040. The next slide will explain what these traffic volumes mean for a four-lane roadway. TxDOT calculated the ability of Loop 1604 in its current four-lane layout to handle 2015 and 2040 traffic volumes. Based on 2015 traffic volumes of 32,400 vehicles per day, the majority of the intersections along Loop 1604 operate at acceptable levels of service, and the time to travel between FM 78 and I-10 East averaged 6 minutes. Overall, the roadway performed acceptably at the 2015 traffic volume. The traffic volume is projected to be 52,000 vehicles per day in 2040. At this traffic volume, the majority of the intersections would perform at undesirable levels of service, and the average travel time would increase to 13 minutes. This is equal to traveling about 23 miles per hour. Based on these analyses, we conclude that the existing Loop 1604 four-lane divided highway between FM 78 and I-10 East cannot accommodate 2040 traffic volumes at acceptable levels of service. This conclusion leads us to the purpose of the proposed project. The purpose of the project is to accommodate existing and projected traffic volumes on Loop 1604 from FM 78 to I-10 East at acceptable levels of service. We have already provided an overview of the typical main lanes and frontage road features that would be included in the proposed project. At this time, we are introducing the schematic, which contains much greater detail on the design and right-of-way requirements. The schematic is a detailed representation of the proposed roadway improvements and right-of-way requirements. This image shows the schematic. Since the project is 5 miles long, it is not practical to show the entire schematic at a reasonable scale in this presentation. We encourage you to view and download the schematic from TxDOT's website at www.txdot.gov. Keyword search, Loop 1604 from FM 78. We are going to take a closer look at the two areas shown in red. These areas cover the intersections of Loop 1604 at Lower Seguin Road and Loop 1604 at FM 78. This image shows the proposed realignment of the Loop 1604 at Lower Seguin Road intersection. Lower Seguin Road intersects with Loop 1604 at an acute angle which is not desirable for safe and efficient traffic movement. The project would realign Lower Seguin Road to intersect with Loop 1604 at right angles. While we are looking at this image, we want to explain some of the color coding and features to help you review the schematic. The red cross-hatching represents paved areas that would be removed. The frontage roads and surface streets are shown in blue, and the Loop 1604 main lanes are green. Sidewalks are shown along the edges of the frontage roads in red. Please pay particular attention to the orange and pink dashed lines that represent existing and proposed right-of-way lines, or in other words, the existing and proposed property lines. The orange dashed lines are existing right-of-way lines, and the pink dashed lines are proposed new right-of-way lines. The pink lines therefore represent the areas of proposed right-of-way acquisition. We hope this information will help you review the remainder of the schematic. This image shows the schematic of the Loop 1604 at FM 78 intersection. We are proposing substantial changes to the layout of this intersection. The project would construct 3 U-turn connector ramps. One of them would be elevated on a bridge and the other 2 at grade to accommodate the heavy turning movements that occur between Loop 1604 main lanes and frontage roads and FM 78. We have a flyover video of the entire project, and in that video, we have a segment devoted to the traffic movements in this area. This is a still image taken from the flyover visualization video showing the proposed changes to the Loop 1604 at FM 78 intersection. The reconfigured intersection features 3 turnaround ramps. The ramp shown in red would allow traffic from the Loop 1604 southbound main lanes to exit to FM 78. The U-shaped portion of this ramp is a bridge that passes over the main lanes. The other 2 turnaround ramps go under the main lanes. The ramp shown in purple would allow vehicles traveling on the Loop 1604 southbound frontage roads and vehicles from FM 78 to enter the Loop 1604 northbound main lanes. The ramp in blue would allow traffic on the Loop 1604 southbound frontage road to get to the Loop 1604 northbound frontage road and FM 78. We encourage you to watch the flyover video since it shows vehicles moving on the lanes, which helps visualize the traffic patterns. The video is posted on TxDOT's webpage and on YouTube, and it can be accessed using the directions shown on this slide. The project would require the acquisition of approximately 51 acres of land as shown on the schematic. We anticipate 6 potential displacements associated with the project. On the schematic, existing right-of-way lines are shown by orange dashed lines, and proposed right-of-way lines are shown by pink dashed lines. If you review the schematic and see pink dashed lines on your property like those shown in this image, then we are proposing to acquire right-of-way from you. The right-of-way would be acquired in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Properties Acquisitions Policies Act of 1970 as amended. TxDOT has 3 documents which provide additional general information on the right-of-way purchasing process, including topics such as appraisal, compensation, and relocation assistance. These documents may be found at the website address shown here. If the schematic indicates we are proposing to acquire right-of-way from you, we recommend that you do not move any personal property, such as fences, until our TxDOT right-of-way agents contact you to formally begin the right-of-way acquisition process. We have made efforts to contact all the affected property owners, and we have met with many of them. If anyone has any questions about the proposed right-of-way, please contact us. Our contact information is shown at the end of this presentation. TxDOT calculated the ability of the proposed Loop 1604 layout to handle 2040 traffic volumes. The average travel time from one end of the corridor to the other would be approximately 4 minutes or about 75 miles per hour. Earlier in the presentation, it was shown that this trip would average 13 minutes or about 23 miles per hour if the roadway were to remain a 4-lane divided highway. The proposed 4-lane expressway performs much better. Traffic modeling also shows that the majority of the frontage road intersections would operate at acceptable levels of service. These results indicate that the proposed improvements would satisfy the need and purpose of this project. After the virtual public hearing and all comments are received and addressed, a decision would be made about the project. If a finding of no significant impact is made, the project would be considered environmentally clear. In that case, TxDOT would acquire all the necessary right-of-way and utility companies would begin to relocate their lines to provide room for the proposed improvements. The project is currently planned to be funded for construction in fiscal year 2025, but this is subject to change depending upon the availability of funds. We currently anticipate the project would be funded with federal and state transportation funds and that construction would cost approximately $300 million. It is possible that the project would be implemented in phases. Assuming the entire project is let for construction in 2025, it is anticipated that the lanes would be open to traffic around 2029. The proposed project would be funded by the Federal Highway Administration and is a major federal action subject to the National Environmental Policy Act. TxDOT prepared a draft environmental assessment, commonly referred to as an EA, to evaluate the social, economic, and environmental impacts of the proposed project and to determine whether such impacts warrant preparation of an environmental impact statement. The environmental review, consultation, and other actions required by applicable federal environmental laws for this project are being or have been carried out by TxDOT pursuant to 23 United States Code 327 and a Memorandum of Understanding dated December 9, 2019, and executed by the Federal Highway Administration and TxDOT. The EA is available for public review, and TxDOT will consider any comments submitted. Once the comment period is over, TxDOT will prepare a final EA. If TxDOT determines there would be significant adverse effects on the quality of human environment, an environmental impact statement would be prepared. Otherwise, TxDOT will prepare and sign a finding of no significant impact. Numerous environmental studies were performed for the project to comply with environmental regulations and policies. They cover topics such as traffic noise, air quality, hazardous materials, biological resources, water resources, community impacts, cultural resources, as well as indirect and cumulative impacts. These studies were documented in numerous technical reports, which are available for public review on the Public Hearing Notice webpage. TxDOT coordinated with various agencies regarding the project, including the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Texas Historical Commission, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and a pending coordination with the Federal Highway Administration. A wide variety of natural resource, cultural, and human environment topics are addressed. It would take a considerable amount of time to review each of these topics in this presentation. We encourage you to review the technical reports and provide comments on any topic. We will review a few of the key issues, including traffic noise, air quality, hazardous materials, and biological resources. TxDOT has conducted a noise analysis of the proposed project layout using computer modeling software that was created by the FHWA. Based on FHWA criteria, a noise level of 66 A-weighted decibels would constitute a noise impact at a residential receiver, such as a backyard. The computer model was used to predict noise levels at 13 different locations or receivers along the corridor. The proposed project would cause noise impacts at one of the 13 receivers. With respect to mitigation, the computer model was used to evaluate if a noise barrier would provide feasible and reasonable abatement. A 20-foot tall noise barrier was modeled along the common property line. The results of the modeling showed that at 20-foot height, the receiver would achieve a minimum feasible noise reduction of 5 A-weighted decibels. However, the noise reduction design goal of 7 A-weighted decibels would not be achieved. In addition, the proposed barrier would exceed the cost-effectiveness criterion of $25,000 per benefited receiver. Therefore, a noise barrier at this location would not be reasonable and is not proposed for incorporation into the project. The proposed project is located in Bexar County, which is in an area that has been designated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, as a marginal non-attainment area for the 2015 Ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standards. Ozone is not directly emitted from vehicles, but vehicle emissions contribute to the formation of ozone. With respect to mitigation, it is necessary to demonstrate that the project conforms with the state's plan to return Bexar County to attainment status. A project-level conformity determination will be completed and approved by the Federal Highway Administration. The proposed right-of-way includes portions of a former waste disposal area that was reported to be cleaned up in 1993. TxDOT conducted its own soil testing on the site and found no indications of residual impacts. Any soil excavated from the former disposal area will be managed according to a project-specific soil management plan. The project area does not contain suitable habitat for federally listed threatened or endangered species. Therefore, consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is not required for the project. TxDOT surveyed Salotrio Creek for rare mussel species, but none were found. The project area does contain suitable habitat for 4 state-listed species: the Texas tortoise, the timber rattlesnake, the zone-tailed hawk, and the white-nosed coati. Based upon TxDOT's coordination with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, TxDOT will include a variety of best management practices in the project to avoid and minimize impacts to these species and other wildlife that inhabit the area. The project would require the following permits for construction: a construction general permit from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality would be required since the project would disturb more than 1 acre of soil. Section 404 permits, nationwide permits, would be required from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at 3 locations where new bridge support columns would be constructed in or adjacent to Salotrio Creek and its tributaries. The anticipated impacts would be below reporting thresholds established by the Army Corps of Engineers. TxDOT is asking the public to provide comments on the project in the following ways. To make a verbal comment, call 210-714-0330 and leave a voicemail. Your voicemail will be converted into a transcript and addressed in the public hearing document. Please limit your message to 3 minutes. However, you may call as many times as you like during the comment period. Email your comments to the address shown here, mail your comments to the address shown here, or use the online comment form at the address shown here. All comments must be received or postmarked by October 15th, 2021. You may also submit a combination of both verbal and written documents. All the comments and our responses to the comments will be presented in a public hearing report, which will be posted on our website. All the public hearing materials can be found on TxDOT's website at www.txdot.gov by searching Loop 1604 from FM 78. You are welcome to review and comment on any materials. The public may call project staff during regular office hours or email project staff to ask questions about the project at any time in the project development process. For questions about this project, please contact Mr. Clint Ray using the contact information shown on this slide. Please note that discussions with the project team members will not be included in the official record of the public hearing. If you wish to submit a comment to be part of the official record of this public hearing, you must do so in the ways outlined at the end of this presentation. The deadline to submit comments to be included in the official hearing summary is October 15th, 2021. Thank you for participating in this public hearing.